Welcome back to another episode of Late Entry. Late Entry is hosted, as always, by Lutofio,
What's going on?
RBF.
Hey guys, how
Yo,
you
is that
doing? I was at the Bills game this weekend. Oh God. I
that
was at the Bills
that
game
is
this weekend and I pushed DeAndre Hopkins and I'm never allowed back in a stadium. I just want to oh God, I just want to use this time to apologize.
I thought that
I
you were doing fucking Charlie Kirk, nigga. I was like, oh my god. Oh my god. You popped up with a fucking neck wrap with your hand over your neck. I was like, yo. Oh, what
What a
the
start.
fuck?
how to ruin a joke, dude. God damn, man.
That's what I thought you were doing until you said
Man,
you
I
went
was
to the
trying
Bills
to
game. I was like,
I wasn't trying to
if
be
you
that topical. Jesus Christ.
if you fucking went back and look at this video, I guarantee my fucking eyes were humongous. I was like, holy shit.
Jesus Christ.
Oh my god. Sorry
I
about
hate you.
that. Late entry is hosted as always by Lutofio,
What's going on, y'all?
RBF Kyle,
How we doing, everybody?
and your boy Double Dose. We got Chad in the chat. What's going on, brother? Good to hear from you. That motherfucker killed me earlier. He was still making fucking Noah Kanega jokes.
Oh Jesus.
um, Tonight we're going to cover some NFL. We're going to talk about the Bears and the Vikings. Preview the Washington versus Green Bay game tomorrow. Toph and I are going to give you some bets for the NFL and for college. We've got Belichick drama. We got Sharon Moore drama. Going to talk a little bit about Charlie Kirk, question of the week, and all due disrespect. So
You just said
the
Christian Kirk?
did I say Christian Kirk?
I think
Is
so.
he even still in the league?
Yeah, Christian Kirk is in the league. I meant Charlie Kirk. If I said Christian Kirk, apologies.
Shout out
This
Christian
has
Kirk.
gotten off to a wild start. So let's talk about a wild game. Monday night. Look, all of the primetime games we got this week were fantastic. The Thursday night game was good. Friday night game was good. Sunday night and then Monday night did not disappoint. So you had the Bears come out and look like world beaters at first. I mean, Caleb Williams looked great at first. His throws were there, the runs were there. He looked great. And then the more that they played, the more he looked like Justin Fields, old Justin Fields. That game wound up devolving into a lot of running and a lot of bad throws from Caleb Williams. Meanwhile, Justin Fields looked like, I'm sorry, Justin Fields, JJ McCarthy, the complete opposite. As the game progressed, he got more and more comfortable, and you saw that dog come out of him even more. So it was interesting. People pointed out the fact that while the plays were scripted, that's when Caleb looked his best. And then as he had to start making more reads as it progressed, that's when things started breaking down. It's hard to fully fault him though. Brian Flores, the defensive coordinator for the Vikings, he was in his bag. He did not blitz. I think he blitzed him once in the first half of the game, and then 14 times in the second half of the game. And his looks were so exotic. Even Peyton Manning on the Manning cast was talking about for one of the plays. He's like, I could have sworn they were in man coverage, and they were in zone instead. So if you're fooling a Hall of Famer like Peyton, I can't blame Caleb Williams too much for the way that looked. I'm just happy that Justin Jefferson finally remembered that he was in the game, and JJ finally remembered that he was could throw to him. I was down to Toph in this late entry league by like 2 points. I just needed 1 or 2 catches, dog, and he delivered to me. So that was good. Kyle, your thoughts?
Yeah, he caught that tutty and that saved you, I'm sure.
It did.
But yeah, similar to what you said. I think jury's still out on Caleb, but I personally think he'll be fine, especially under Ben Johnson. That first half really did look good, even though the offense only managed to put up 10 points. Um, he was moving the ball. He was doing all the right things. He's still young. This might be the time where the coach doesn't immediately go and draft a new quarterback after getting hired because he's sick of not being able to coach the current one. I think Ben Johnson will be patient enough with Caleb to make this work. That being said, JJ with Kevin, they were in the second half. The connection they had after that 2 point to Thielen when he realized that JJ saw it right off the rip, and like I'm pretty sure Kevin O'Connell had to change his underpants after that play. But that their connection is awesome. I think this is definitely going to be the toughest division come week 18 to get out of.
Toph, before you go real fast, I just want to touch on the coaches that Kyle brought up. Um, I think that Ben Johnson went there because he wanted to coach Caleb. So yeah, I agree with you. I think that there's going to be some patience there. They're going to grow together. It's going to take a little bit of time for everything to mesh fully, but I think you see it already. I think that I was talking to some of my coworkers that are Bears fans, and they're like, I don't know if Caleb's got that killer instinct. I was thinking like when it was the second to last drive, they had to score before the 2-minute warning. Caleb, look, first read not there, second read not there, and ran straight for the touchdown. Now he didn't get it, but it's like the decisiveness and not just standing back there like, oh shit, what do I do? I love to see that. And you can see Ben Johnson in his bag already with it. That touchdown right after that, where it's like a fake handoff, loop around, and then Odunze got free for the touchdown. I'm watching like that right there. That's why you get Ben Johnson. Those exact play calls. 100%. Now Kevin O'Connell, he's exactly what JJ needs. I think that he knows how to work with him. He was patient throughout the game with him of just like, all right, first start ever in the NFL. Let's run the ball. Let's keep hammering the ball. Let's dial up small stuff for you. Let's get you more comfortable. And then as we get further into the game, all right, let's rip the Band-Aid off. Let that bitch sing. So, both coaches, I feel like you saw Kevin O'Connell really at the master of his craft right there, and Brian Flores on the other side. Whereas I think that you're seeing glimpses of Ben Johnson and the Bears and hope for what comes in the future. Toph, what you think?
Real quick, Kibagami loves my shirt, Toph. I just want to let you know. Kibagami83 said that I have a nice shirt on. I just wanted to let Toph know that real quick. Okay, yeah.
Okay.
Love you, brother.
Anyway, let me start by asking my two co-hosts here their own personal question. Do you guys personally think that Caleb Williams is the answer in Chicago?
Yes. I think Caleb plus competent coaching, which I know that Ben Johnson is.
I think he can. I don't know that he necessarily will be yet, but I think that's where the chips lie right now for sure. I think Ben Johnson is like he's probably got about like 10K over here, but he's got 50K in the pot right now.
Okay, because I was just watching the Gridiron hosted by Gilbert Arenas and Skip Bayless and everybody, and I thought it was kind of crazy how they just all dropped on the bag and said Caleb Williams is not the answer in Chicago, and I'm like, well, I mean, it's only played 1 year with the dumpster fire organization that he had between that whole staff, and then I mean, this is really his first year with Ben Johnson, but I'm like, man, just to say this guy is already not the answer, I thought was kind of crazy. I had to sit back and think. I was like, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I think that you can't really give any criticism for anything that he did under that last coach. That last Eberflus was fucking garbage. But what I do think is that there were so many flashes of Caleb trying to put the cape on by himself, even despite his coaching. So now we've got a competent coach. Yeah, I don't know how you could write him off that fast.
Yeah, I just thought it was kind of crazy to just jump on that bandwagon so soon. When like I said, it's hard for someone to just start year one and just like amazing. Like CJ Stroud had one of the better rookie years ever. Jaden Daniels, like I said, you can see CJ Stroud take a step back in year two, but I don't think we're thinking he's fallen off. But like I said, I definitely think we can't just jump the gun so soon. Now I've seen a lot of Caleb Williams, in high school. Sorry, not high school, college. Definitely didn't watch him in high school. Like in Oklahoma, when they, benched Spencer Rattler and said, "All right, man, they're looking bad." Also, they put Caleb Williams and he just went in there, started slinging that ball, left and right. And I was like, okay, this guy, he's got something to him. And then he transferred to USC. He went and won the Heisman. Now he didn't win a lot of games, never went to a bowl game or like a big New Year's Five bowl game and things like that. A lot of 8 and 5 seasons out of Caleb Williams, but you always saw just like the raw talent that he had. He was very somebody like off script. Maybe you kind of said that his play calling, his scripting, but he has that kind of magic where we kind of saw that first drive. I said, okay, it was like a different Caleb Williams. Then it started to kind of unravel as B flow. I felt like it was like a boxing match. It was very low scoring, not too much action, but he was kind of taking his notes and said, okay, now I see what he likes to do. Second half, complete different script. He really put it on and things like that. And you could say, he outcoached, Ben Johnson. B Flow, he's been doing this for a very long time. The Vikings have always had historically, really good defense, but just never had that offense to match and things like that. But you definitely got to respect B Flow. He's been doing this, with the Dolphins, and he had, barely any kind of talent. He's out there, barely in the grease in the kitchen. He was out there cooking up masterpieces, getting his Chef Gordon Ramsay on and things like that. But I'm not ready to just, jump on Caleb Williams quite yet. I like what he's doing and things like that. You could kind of see just the evolution of his offense, like the Lions like to do, double tight end sets. I ain't never seen DeAndre Swift run that hard before. He's a little guy. He's at the trying to run people over. I like the fight that he had. I think I liked a lot what I saw. It just hasn't quite come together. And Caleb, he's got to stop them with hospital balls, man. He about decapitated DJ Moore out there, man. I said, come on, man. I know DJ Moore is, he's a tough guy, but he got to do some Chris Olave balls out there. I thought that was Derek Carr out there for a minute. I thought you retired. I definitely think he needs to learn how to throw a better catchable ball. Because I feel like every throw, he's just trying to throw a 100-mile-per-hour fastball. You saw Josh Allen, he did that a lot, early on. Had like, really strong arm. But I think he just developed the touch. He ran outside, threw that ball to Roma Duzin in the silent. I was like, that was a dot of a throw right there. I think he just needs to reel it in. Keep his eyes downfield, even though he was escaping left and right, which he's a master at that. How many times he evaded it? I just felt like there's a lot of people, wide open, and he's just like a little bit more to run than to pass and things like that. But I'm hoping after time, figuring out Benja's playbook that'll kind of ease that out. Then the other side, JJ McCarthy, man. I saw an article that's saying that could he be an elite quarterback? And I got to say, this guy went 27-1 in Michigan. Barely ever lost and things like that. And he had an all-star team in Michigan. He never really got asked to do too much on that team. Just, play quarterback, don't turn the ball over, don't get us through there. Well, some of those games against, Alabama, TCU, all those teams, he had to make some throws. And he made some incredible throws in his career, things like that. And I always thought this guy, had talent. We just haven't really been able to, see him at his full extent. He never really got to just, go out there and say, okay, you win us the game. The reins are off. You go do what you got to do. And early on, like I say, he looked deer in the headlights, threw that big six and things like that. But it's how he bounced back, with his teammates. He said, guys, that's on me, but we'll be good. He never let anything falter and things like that. He's definitely someone that's always, composed. He never really gets rattled and things like that. And then, him and JJ, they're working. They went to some basketball games of the off season. They've been trying to work on the chemistry. Like I said, as a young quarterback, probably the best receiver in the league. I'd want to make sure, we could complete passes, in the dark, not even looking at each other. But I'm definitely really, really impressed with what I saw JJ McCarthy do. And I'm excited to see what he does for the rest of the year because I think this guy has some hidden talent that we just quite haven't seen. I wouldn't count this guy off at all.
I want to address two things you said, and then I want to answer a question that Tony asked us in the chat. With the Caleb, I will say for all the Caleb haters, one thing that you can really look at and maybe feel confident about if you are a Caleb hater is the fact that the last drive or two drives. It was, I think it was the no, sorry, not the last drive, not the very last drive, because that didn't go anywhere. But the drive that they scored, they got bailed out by some penalties that were able to give them a fresh set of downs and move them up the field because Caleb for that entire drive uh, was just pissing down his leg. It was bad.
Yeah.
He was standing there. He was sailing balls, dog. You had people wide open. DJ Moore was open for a touchdown. He was just missing them
Mm.
terribly. So, yeah, it's, I can see if you are a Caleb hater, you're gonna look at that and go, "This is what I'm talking about." But I want to give him time to grow. JJ McCarthy,
Absolutely.
we saw
Gotcha.
he absolutely had that dog in him. To be going down that bad, to have thrown picks, to have nothing going well for you, and then I guess there's reports that came out like at halftime. He was like, "Hey, don't worry, I got this." They're losing in the late in the third quarter or start of the fourth quarter. He's on the sideline. Is there anywhere you'd rather be than here right now? He's talking to his teammates. He's getting them hyped up. Like he's making them believe in him and his resilience. And then the fact that they came back and won that, that's how you, as essentially a redshirt rookie, earn the respect of veterans on your team. Tony said in the chat, he said, "I think Ben and Caleb together will be a dream team with time." I agree. He said, "Bears win any playoff games this year, though." I do not think so.
They
I,
got to make the playoffs before they even think about winning a game.
I don't think so. I think that I think that if the indication we saw from the Vikings, I'm sorry, if what we saw from the Vikings is any indication, I think that they're going to be just fine. I think that the Packers, we've already talked about how I feel about them. Lions and Bears are battling it out to see who's going to hopefully make the playoffs in that wild card spot. I mean, I'm rooting for it to be the Lions. I know Kyle's rooting for it to be the Lions. So unfortunately, I think that's going to leave the Bears out. But we're going to see. We'll see on what is it, Sunday. Sunday, the two of them play. So we'll see if how that shakes out. I'm personally scared just because Ben Johnson knows us. Like he's the person that exactly knows what our offense is and would know how to stop us. But I'm
But
hoping
Dan
that we're
knows his.
able to.
Dan knows his too. That's I don't know.
The thing about Ben Johnson is just the
It's
trick
such
plays.
a.
It's not about knowing your X's and O's. We don't know what kind of trick play he's going to come up with. When you have Jared Goff falling like you get sacked and then pop up, "Hot, gotcha, bitch," and hit him with the over the top. You can't script for that.
That's creative
And
as
so
hell. Yeah.
that's what I'm scared of. I'm rooting for
Yeah.
the Lions. What do you guys think? You think the Lions are going to win this Sunday or no?
Yeah, I definitely think the Lions take care of business on Sunday.
I think they'll win it. I think it'll be a close game, probably within one possession. But I hear what you're saying. I think they'll probably try to run some trick plays. But if there's one thing I remember about that first year of Ben Johnson trick plays versus third year of Ben Johnson trick plays, they were way tighter when he was running the stumble bum versus a flea flicker in year one. So he might try to do some stuff, but he's also going to try to win. And I think that for just from what I remember about Ben, especially if like it happens again, the Bears have a lead, Ben's going to want to be conservative on offense, in the second half. And that might
Yes.
be the moment where the Lions are like, "Oh, we recognize this. Now let's pounce." Like, so it might even be the Bears lead at halftime, but I think the Lions will still win.
I'm hoping so. I agree with you. I think it's going to be a very close game. All right, we are 20 minutes in and still on the first topic, so let's keep things moving. Let's preview this game for tomorrow. Washington versus Green Bay. Toph, who you got winning?
Give me Green Bay. I'm gonna say by 10 points.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Is that more Green Bay's defense, or is that not believing in Jaden Daniels?
No, I think it's just it's in Lambeau, isn't it?
I'm not sure.
I'm pretty sure it's in Lambeau, if I remember. Like I said, I just expect a lot out of Green Bay this year. Like I said, I don't think they've even played their best game. I think they left a lot on the table, and of how easy they looked those first couple of drives. I expect them as time goes on, build up their chemistry and things like that. I expect to just them to easily score 30 plus points a game this year. So I just think it's just too much explosion.
Okay, real
It
quick,
is
Kyle, for
at
you.
Lambeau.
Okay, it is at Lambeau. before you go, Kyle. Tony said Lions have a must-win game against them because of upcoming schedules. I 100% agree. I think that
True.
no team wants to go 0-2 to start off with, especially in the division. So yeah, both teams got to win this.
Mhm.
Chat, let us know who you guys have, Green Bay or Washington. I see Tony
We got
already. Give me
someone
Washington by
already.
3.
Yep.
Yeah, Washington by 3. Kyle, who you got?
So funny enough, I have Washington by 4. F you, Tony. Love you, bro. Packers will definitely carry some momentum from last week, and they are at Lambeau, like Toph just said, which I didn't think about when I made this prediction. But the JD5 mobility train is real, and that guy can just make shit happen. I kind of foresee him giving them some trouble this week, especially after the layup they had last week with the terrible O line play from the Lions. So, yeah, give me Washington by 4, 24-20.
I'm scared. We got Chad in here. He said I think Green Bay. Um, it's
Thanks,
tough. Like I
Kiba.
said, I've got the Packers going to the NFC Championship. But what scares me about playing Washington is the fact of, like you said, the mobility of Jane Daniels. So you've got Micah Parsons as this big disruptor. If he plays the whole game, we'll see what his snap count with his back looks like. Um, but what scares me about that is the fact that he's a good pass rusher. But what happens when Jaden Daniels gets outside and starts moving around? Then all bets are off. And if you collapse the pocket, that's what allows a elite mobility quarterback to escape. So, while I don't think that it's going to be the end of I don't think it's going to necessarily mean anything for the Packers for the future. I'm also have Washington.
Ooh.
I don't have by a points or anything like that. We got Shuba in
The
here,
Packers
Packers for
fan.
sure. We got Shuba in here, Packers for sure by 6. Yeah, I mean, but I also know exactly what the talent of Jane Daniels looks like. That's why I went
Yeah,
and traded
true.
for him in our
Oh,
dynasty league. I needed
sorry.
that. I was
The objective fan. I
I
apologize.
I am an objective fan. Look, I be picking against my teams when it counts. Like, you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
you do.
Will I be rooting for the Packers? Absolutely. But if I had to pick gun to my head who wins, Michael's only been there for like a week and a half at this point. So,
True. True.
all right, let's keep it pushing. I've got 2 NFL parlays for you, and then Toph is going to give us some college bets. So I have a more conservative parlay and I have a riskier parlay. So the first one, this is odds of plus 111, so very low, basically just doubling your money up. I've got the Ravens over the Browns, I've got the Bills over the Jets, and I've got the Rams over the Titans. So once again, that's Ravens, Bills, Rams. String the 3 of those together, that's bet number 1. Now bet number 2, the odds are a lot closer in the individual games. So this is a 3-leg parlay plus 392. I've got the Eagles over the Chiefs. I do not think that the underman Chiefs, no Xavier Worthy, no Rishi Rice, I don't think that they're fucking with the Eagles at all. I don't think that's happening personally. I've got the Steelers over the Seahawks. I think it's a close game, but if we see the Rodgers we saw last week, I think he's going to light it up against them. And then I've got the Bengals over the Jaguars. I know the Jags are kind of on their ascension right now, but Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, and T. Higgins, I don't think that anything's stopping them from the Jags, personally. In fact, we might see Travis Hunter get fucking torched by one of those 2 receivers. So we'll see. Chat and you guys, anybody have any issues with any of my picks?
Really quick,
Yep.
because you just mentioned Hunter's name. Do you know how many snaps he played on defense?
4. It was 4, I think.
Yes. So apparently, at the moment, they're playing his focus as more as a receiver, and then
Mm-hmm.
not so much as a defensive back. So he might not have a chance to get torched out there. So lucky to him. But I
Well,
think they should do the opposite.
they said they're
Personally,
doing a
Well,
situational.
they said he was CB2 like positionally, which means he's technically the second cornerback on their team. So to me, you would think build that guy up a little bit. So I kind of agree with Toph. At the same time, they also said he's probably our best wide receiver, is what Liam Cohen said. So
I mean,
that's
hey,
Liam Cohen's words, bro. He said
Brian
he
Thomas
has
Jr.
the
was
those are his
not
ability
words.
to
productive.
wide receiver one.
I don't believe in that whatsoever.
But so
Brian Thomas Jr. was not productive on that last game. He did nothing. Travis Hunter showed out.
So we're just gonna, base one game off of what Brian
No.
Thomas Jr. did last year.
no, not at all.
No.
I'm just saying.
He's the
I
ass.
think Travis Hunter has just like a crazy amount of talent where he could be, but Brian Thomas Jr. has played receiver all his life. I can't just put, Travis Hunter over him just off of his pure talent alone. Give me BT all day. No disrespect to Travis.
Let me address the chat real quick. Tony asked, what would win the Packers the game or what would lose it for Washington? I would say that the only hope that they've got is just air attack, just letting that bitch sing. Just letting Golden, letting Jaden Reed, letting the receivers fly, and just letting Jordan Love just rip it and say, hey, go out there and make something happen. If it doesn't happen, our defense will get you the ball back. And if they can just do that, and then the receivers can burn the corners, that'd be my thought.
True.
Man in the chat, he said Chiefs over Eagles, take it to the bank. I'm terrified now because last week I had the Dolphins over the Colts, and Ant said don't do it. He said that's a trap, and he was right. So now you've got me fucking scared about this bet. We'll see. We will see. And if you are 2 weeks in a row right about this, about my bets, I'm gonna retire. I'm gonna hand this shit over to you, dog. I'm gonna collab with you on every bet moving forward.
So
any other?
I actually, I'm just gonna state mine similar to yours. I got Ravens, Rams, Commanders. So I had a pretty similar way of going about it. I think the Ravens are gonna bounce back. I think the Rams are safe to bet on, and I think the Commanders go into Lambeau and shock the world. So I'm taking them all money line and hoping that hits.
I didn't want to bet on the Packers Commanders one. I just feel like it's too close. Like I'm expecting the Commanders to win, but if the Packers win, I'm not going to be shocked.
I just think
that scared me on that one.
I don't know what the betting is at the moment. I figured the Commanders would probably not be favored, and that would be an ultimate shocker. So I just felt like that was a good 3-leg.
That's fair. Toph, you've got some college bets for us, right?
I do. College is back in full swing this week. Had a little bit of an off week last week, but nonetheless, the games were still good. We'll start with the pick'em games. Week 1, I went 1-2. Didn't look too hot. Got the Ohio State Texas game wrong. Got the Clemson LSU game wrong. But I did pick Miami over Notre Dame, so saved me from going 0-3 and hanging out my my pick'em games for the rest of the career just after week 1.
Can I say something real fast?
Yeah.
There's nothing that if I was in the chat that I'd want to hear more than the guy about to give me some bets saying, "Hey, I went 1-2 last week."
Hey, man. Hey, you got to be honest. I didn't necessarily go with my heart week 1. I overthought it and things like that. This week I'm gonna go with more of my heart with this one. We got Notre Dame. They're back again. They're going against Texas A&M, number 16 ranked A&M versus number 8 Notre Dame. I do hate those Golden Domers with a passion, but for this week, I gotta go with them. CJ Carr, it looked pretty good against Miami. This is the second game. They had the off week last week. Give me Notre Dame over A&M. This is a shocker. Clemson, I had them winning it all. They've looked awful this year. So give me the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets going into Death Valley and beating Clemson, storming the field. Hey, you can't sleep on Georgia Tech, man. They went in there, ran right over the Buffaloes down there in Folsom Field. So you can never count out Georgia Tech. So give me Georgia Tech over Clemson. And I'm going to take the Tennessee Volunteers over UGA down there in Georgia. And is that my pick'em games? Now I forgot on parlay picks.
Hey, let me ask you.
If Georgia, shit getting hot. Hold on.
if Georgia Tech,
He just said
if
Georgia Tech
Tech
over
takes down
Clemson. I'm
Clemson,
about to.
I did.
Sheesh.
if they take him down, are they taking down the goalpost too?
Oh yeah, goalposts got to go.
Mattresses in the
Goalposts got to go.
streets. Fires going up.
I've seen Georgia Tech do it before, man. I got to stop counting them out, man. Haynes King, he gonna show up, man. He might run the ball 30 times this game, limping it all.
All right, let's hear
Uh,
the rest of them.
I'm gonna take Arizona money line over Kansas State. Kansas State took, I don't even know how they lost to Army last week. Money line is at plus 106 for Arizona. I like that line. Colorado, I'm gonna take the plus 4.5 over Houston. Um, Shockingly, the money line's at 168. I would not be surprised if they win. They got Ryan Staub, the third string quarterback, is now number one quarterback now. He looked good. I know it was Delaware, but he was slinging that thing up. He held that wrist up. Shout out to Shador. I would not be surprised if they actually won, but I'm gonna take the cover 4.5. I'm not gonna, drink the Kool-Aid too soon, but I ain't gonna lie, that's my team. It's hard not to drink that Kool-Aid. Give me Wisconsin plus 20.5 over Alabama. I know Bama did beat UNL Monroe 73-0, but I still don't like Bama. I think they're still skeptical. I like Luke Fickle in Wisconsin. They've had a bounce back year. They're 2-0 so far. I think we could cover 20.5 against Bama. In Bama, doesn't matter. Ain't Nick Saban coaching. He can't save you. I'm going to take South Florida 17.5 over Miami. South Florida shocked the world and did upset Florida in the swamp last week. So I think 17.5, that's a there's amount of points. So give me South Florida over Miami. Oh, no, sorry, not over. Covering Miami. Arkansas 7.5 to Ole Miss. I wouldn't be surprised if Arkansas won this game. Their money line is plus 210. But I'm gonna play it safe. Take me the 7.5. They're gonna cover against Ole Miss. LSU 7.5 to Florida. I think this game could be a blowout. Florida, Billy Napier, you got a lot of things to answer. If you drop this game to LSU, they might just send you packing and say you're done. And I believe this is in Death Valley as well too. That's a hard place to play in a night game as well too. They're gonna be swinging the swag, surfing, crowd gonna be rocking. It's gonna be lit. I wish I could go, but I gotta work, so I'm gonna be sitting my ass right at home. Oregon minus 20.5 against Northwestern. Those brainiacs. Now I think Oregon might be the best team in the nation. They look really good this year. Dan Lanning and the boys, they are on fire. The Corian Moore, 5-star wide receiver, is an absolute dog. Evan Stewart, absolute dog as well, too. And new quarterback, Dante Moore, he's been slinging that rock. So I would not be surprised if they beat this team by about 40. The lines are 20.5. They're definitely going to cover that. Lastly, we got Vanderbilt, plus 4.5 for South Carolina. The money line is at plus 146. That's also very intriguing. I'm just going to take them covering 4.5 against South Carolina. I am not a believer in Lenora Sellers. I'm going to say it right here, right now. So he said I'm going broke for sure. Thank you, Tony. I might, but you know what? I'm going to write it out anyway. I'm sorry. That was hilarious right there.
Bro, I saw that started dying.
I saw you laughing. I said, this was something in the comments down there. Hey, you know what, chat? This is why you don't bet hundreds, 20s. Don't bet your rent money on it. Don't bet your check on it. You go into your betting. You deposit $10 in there. If you lose that, you're done. We'll see you again next week. Make sure y'all bet responsibly as well too. All right, that is it for my picking games there.
All right, if you were in the chat and you want to tail any of these and you didn't write these down, don't worry. We're going to have tomorrow. We will get up in the morning Kyle's picks, so you can get that parlay with Washington. On Friday, we will drop Toph, so you can get that in time for college football. And then on Saturday, we'll drop mine, so you can get that in time for the NFL. We're gonna talk about. We've got some spicy topics coming up. But before we do that, Toph is gonna tell us about some pettiness with Bill Belichick.
Hell
yes. Bill Belichick, man, back at it again. The North Carolina Chronicles, man. This man can't stay out the news. Now this is a weird one. I don't know what he has it against New England Patriots and that organization, but he must hate them with a passion. Apparently he has banned the Patriots, more specifically their scouts, from any kind of contact with North Carolina players and things like that. It's definitely just strange, something I've never heard of. Especially, they didn't do anything wrong. They're not out there taping, the practices like he used to do back in the day. I don't know, I think it's just kind of selfish to, just ban a whole organization, from your school. At the end of the day, you're coaching these young players to be, great men. They don't all mix the league, but at the same time, to not have scouts be able to see, your players, I think is a disservice, to them. They're not the ones that, went there, played for that team. If you're salty because, Robert Kraft packed you up, after you just let Tom Brady walk out of that organization, you thought he was done. You thought he was cooked. He went down there in Tampa Bay, Florida, got them, a Super Bowl. You feel some type of way, but I think it's just crazy to just ban, scouts from going to your school. Like I said, at the end of the day, I think you're taking it away from the players, making it more about you and not about them.
Yeah,
There's not much. Go ahead.
I think we should just let Bill Belichick do whatever he wants to do till he gets in a retirement home, because that's basically what North Carolina has said. They're like, yeah, you want to ban everybody you've ever known from coming in our building? Sure, we don't give a shit. They're like I don't understand where this is going. Kudos to him for bagging a girl our age or younger, I guess. But yeah, Bill Belichick, get the hell out of coaching, man. Where do you end your run, bro? End your run. Get out like Bill Cowher did, even though you're already way past that.
I mean, there's not too much more to add than what you guys said. Yeah, it's petty. It's petty, but it's not at the expense of Bill. It's at the expense of the kids, and you're stopping potential situations and where a coach might see something that they like from your team, and then now they're on the Patriots, all because you've got a beef with Robert Kraft. And so it's sad. It's sad to see Bill going out sadder and sadder as things continue to progress. Um, and yeah, I mean, the worst thing that ever happened for Bill's career was the fact that he let Tom go and then Tom won a Super Bowl. So it's like from that moment since, it's just been a steady decline. And now we've reached like middle school levels of petty with this whole coaching situation or with the whole scout situation. So not too much more to add to that, Toph. I mean, you hit it right on the head. Um, Next topic. Both of these guys, both of my other co-hosts, feel very strongly about Sharon Moore. So, Toph, I know you've got some strong feelings about it. Kyle feels the opposite. Tell us what it is, Toph.
You want to go first? You want me to go first?
Well, you start because you had the initial take
Okay.
that started this.
All right. So Sharon Moore, man, where do I start with this guy? He reminds me a lot of LSU's old coach when they won the Natty, Mr. Big O, Ed Ogeron. You know, players just absolutely love the guy. We always kind of hear about it, and players, coaches, like the Mike Tomlins of the world and guys like that, which they're all cool and all and things like that. When it comes to dissecting game, the X and O's, creating like a feasible game plan, this is where those guys fall short. Because pretty much after all those guys left to LSU, the Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, Joe Burrows, he did not have a good run at LSU. He also had Joe Brady as his offensive coordinator. We've seen what this guy's done, as his track record. Um, it's also like when we're talking about Michigan, one of the most, prominent or schools, ever, things like that. When you go to Michigan, your expectation is to beat Ohio State and play to win a national championship. When I just look at Sharon Moore and just like his coaching style, I just don't see it. He's not a guy that really breaks down the X's and O's. I think his mid to late game adjustments are always lacking. I believe the guy coaches scared. What I mean by that is he plays, you know, not to lose. He doesn't play to win. He doesn't leave all the chips out there on the table. Um, you inherited, granted you did lose a lot of players and things like that, but you did still have, Mason Graham and Will Johnson. on your team. It's like you definitely still have talent, in terms of your transfers, the guys that you recruit in there, you're getting, a lot more better talent than most teams are. You also got Bryce Underwood, who talent wise, might be one of the best quarterbacks we've seen in a very, very long time. You know, Granted he is pretty young, but the guy's 6'4", 200 plus pounds and things like that. And it has a skill set that I don't think Michigan has ever seen. Um, he has all the tools in the world. I just feel like they're not putting him in the best, situations to succeed for that team. Let me give you guys a little stat right here. This is a quote that he said, after Monday during his press conference. Underwood is not only a very talented player in the passing game, but he's incredibly athletic and mobile as well. His size adds another element to his run game that makes him difficult to stop. So far this season, Michigan has only called one design run for him. So you say all these attributes, all these tools that he has, but you're not putting him, in the right situations. I feel like he's calling the game as he has Davis Warren and not Bryce Underwood. Whereas somebody like Jim Harbaugh, he's an ex quarterback himself. You know, he's a quarterback guy. When we saw him at Cade McNamara, he thought he was cool, but you also had that young guy in JJ McCarthy. When we saw what he does, just has another kind of element. He was very quick to say, "All right, we're moving on from Cade. You did your thing, but this guy could take to the next level and things like that." Jim Harbaugh will put you in the right situation and things like that. They didn't ask too much for JJ McCarthy. He did his job, and we see the success that this guy has. Granted, Sharon Moore has not played, 2 seasons so far for Michigan. Um, but in Jim Harbaugh's first 2 years as Michigan head coach, he went 20-6. First year they went 10-3, made the Citrus Bowl, and dominated Florida 41-7. Year two, same thing, went 10-3, made to the Orange Bowl, but they did lose to Florida State 33-32. And after that, I'm not gonna lie, there's a bit of a drop off. He had the COVID season. He didn't have that same success. It took him a little while. Had revolving doors quarterbacks. But like I said, Jim Harbaugh is definitely always somebody that no matter what, he works with what he has. He tries his best, and we've seen when Jim Harbaugh has had his quarterback, Colin Kaepernick. You know, nobody saw this guy coming. He said, "All right, I'm gonna assert this guy in there," and he ran ramshack over the Packers. Sorry, Spence, but he tore them a new one. So I get it. Every head coach, you need to have their guy. Like so, Sharon Moore, you brought in Bryce Underwood. This is your guy. You paid this guy over $15 million. You have to put this guy in the positions to succeed. Now, Sharon Moore is 22-game suspension. So we have interim coach Biff Poggi. Never heard that guy whatsoever. But his next 2 games, Central Michigan, should be a cakewalk. The next one is Nebraska, which, that could be a tough one. You do got maybe Patrick Mahomes on that team. Everything he does, he looks just like him. Celebrations and all. Like I said, if all I'm saying is if Biff Poggi comes in here and Michigan looks completely different, there's gonna be some questions to ask about Sharon Moore, his play calling and things. I think that's pretty fair. I don't think the team is married to this guy whatsoever. But like I said, if Biff comes on in here, calls the game, Bryce is looking really good. I'm just saying we got to ask some questions about this one, Mr. Moore.
I hear you. I hear you. And I mean, if we're going back to the Harbaugh stuff and comparisons of that, Harbaugh has never been a coach that basically ever coached under 500. So the level of success that he has versus his predecessor, I think reasonable Michigan fans, which there aren't a lot of us, but reasonable Michigan
It's
fans
true.
can understand that it might take 1 or 2 seasons for his predecessor to really start to hit off. He had a strong end to the last season. He's a really good rah rah guy when it
There you
comes to
go.
like in the locker room before the games. I have no issues with Sharon Moore being our head coach through this season at the minimum, probably through the next 2 or 3. I don't know that he's the answer. I'm not going to sit here and tell you he is. He doesn't necessarily have the resume to prove that he is. He's never been a head coach before. He's always been the offensive guy. Um, and I think losing JJ and losing Jim Harbaugh, that's real. Like that's hard for a coach to come into a team when you basically lost your entire core. Um, that being said, I don't think he's done a bad job with Bryce Underwood. I don't think he'll continue to do a bad job with him. I think that Bryce just really needs to slow down a little bit and really just get into the playbook the same way that Caleb needs to get into Ben Johnson's playbook. That's what he needs to do with Sharon's, because he won't be afraid to take those risks when he trusts the quarterback. And there were a couple times he took those risks with JJ, actually more so when he was in like his first few years when Cade was still there than when he became the actual guy. But like Sharon would take shots with JJ because he knew JJ had a slinger on him. So it's not about him not trusting the quarterback. I think he'll get there. This was his second game in college football, Bryce Underwood. And the kid set a record for Michigan franchise and pass yards. Sure, it was New Mexico, but there have been so many Michigan quarterbacks that have just turned over Spate, Henny. Like, I mean, Henny was actually a good one, but he wasn't for a while.
Henny
He
was
almost
cooking.
got benched. There were just so many question marks. This kid, Underwood, he's not a question mark. This is somebody that I hope Sharon can die on and hopefully, ride into becoming a great college coach all around. Because I think this kid can help carry the offense and do things that Sharon wasn't doing before. I don't know. He's gonna help like fill these gaps that Sharon has to fill from all of these coaches being gone. I really like this Bryce kid. I think he's got a good head on his shoulders, and I'm trusting in him. I'm not necessarily trusting in him to go all the way this year, but I think they could squeak a playoff spot.
Ooh, that's bold. A playoff spot?
I think they could squeak a playoff spot.
Sure, he better get his act right. He better get Bryce going. Then it's not going to be easy to make a playoff spot this year.
He'll get him going. It'll be exponential. Just wait. The kid has a fire, man. The kid has a fire.
No, I like Bryce. I just don't think Sharon Moore and their OC is putting the right game plans together for him. I have no questions about
Mm,
Bryce. I just think the coaches aren't doing the best for him at this moment. But we'll see for
yeah,
these next two games.
we'll see.
All right, can you hear?
Spencer, you're muted.
Thank you. To win a playoff spot, do you think that means that they can afford to lose another game, or you're saying that they're going to go undefeated the rest of the season?
Well, I mean, mainly you probably have to win your conference, and you have Oregon, you have Ohio State, you have like I said, those two teams alone, they both made the playoffs last year. They look damn good this year as well too. I just think it's difficult for you can't have three teams. Well, you could have three teams in the Big Ten, but that is really hard for three teams in the Big Ten to make it to the playoffs. Granted,
They did it
if
last year.
Michigan beats Ohio State this year, it helps them out as well too. But losing to Oklahoma, that was definitely a tough one. They'd have to
Yeah,
run the
yeah, that was
table.
tough.
They have Washington coming up as well too. Is a tough one. They don't have the hardest schedule, but they have a couple of roadblocks. If they could get through those, then you got a chance. But like I said, having Oregon, Ohio State in there, Penn State as well too. We even talked about. Like I said, there's a lot
Yeah.
of good teams in the Big Ten. I think it's going to be really tough.
So
But
then,
yeah,
Kyle, are you saying they're going to run the table, Kyle?
no, I'm not. I'd
I'd
say
say
they might lose one more. They'll go 10-2 in order to get in.
so.
That
Yeah,
would
you're
be what
saying
it took. That
lose
would
one
be
more
what it
game
took for them to get in. I'm not saying it
and beat
will
Ohio State.
happen.
They
I'm
would
just
have to beat Ohio State.
yes, hell
They
yeah.
get
They,
it's
and
better
they have
conference. They
to
got to beat Ohio
Have to do
State.
it.
and they have to win all of the
in
big
the Big
ones
House too. I
going
think.
forward. They have to win all of the big ones going forward. That's
And
what I
somehow
think.
that team looks amazing until they play Ohio State. They just turned it up tenfold and usually handle their business. So
The one thing. Well, first, hold on. Chad in the chat said next year Michigan recruits are going to be sick.
yeah,
He said
they
our
have
defense is a little
amazing
soft,
recruit.
but they should come around. The one thing that I'll say for Sharon Moore, everyone when I was watching the Michigan game, the most recent Michigan game, was talking about how they didn't like the fact that they we're not letting Underwood cook to start the game off and then expecting him to put the cape on at the end of the game. That's not how you do it. The flip side of that is we saw literally that exact formula work in the NFL with JJ McCarthy, ironically. So we will
He
see.
is, in my opinion, in my lifetime. I'm not going to talk about watching Tom Brady and all that stuff because he wasn't that then. JJ McCarthy is the best quarterback to go through University of Michigan. He really
More
is.
than
Just
like
seeing,
the Denard Robinson days.
I mean,
yeah. I
Denard was
mean,
fun to watch.
yeah,
Denard, he was a good college guy.
Bernard or Denard Robinson. Yeah,
Oh,
he
he
was
was fun to
Yeah,
awesome. He
watch.
was
He was
he was so
must
fun to
watch.
watch.
yeah.
And he would win them games with his feet like crazy. I mean,
Hmm.
and with his arm. He went for like 700 in one game between his feet and his passing. But JJ just I saw it from like his sophomore year, just like honestly, even when he would just get thrown in on like random packages and he would just be put in for an explosive play, I was like, yeah, this kid's gonna do something someday. And now he has the best quarterback coach in the world teaching him how to play quarterback in the NFL. So
I
bright
remember
things
going
for
to a Michigan, Western Michigan game down there in Ann Arbor, and he got in garbage time, and just like seeing like he made just a crazy throw, and that play broke down. He was the one halfway across his body, deep. Like I said, it's just something about JJ McCarthy. Like what Kyle says, like he said, even though like when he was playing in Michigan, he never really had to do too much, but he would make like one or two throws. You're just like, okay,
Very
this
Jalen
guy's
Hurts
got it.
esque.
Yeah, and they
yeah.
never just fully unleashed him. Jim Harbaugh did not let him cook, but we saw what he did. That second half against the Bears. Kevin Connell said, "All right, man, you got it." He's sneaky athletic as well too.
How about that
Um,
Alabama game, bro? Where he
yeah,
picked the ball up with no laces and threw a dot to freaking Wilson, dude. Like it was Roman Wilson. He just threw it in the Alabama. He just oh my in the Rose Bowl, bro. Like every light is
yes,
on you. You've been having
I'm
a
a
terrible
JJ
game.
fan.
You fumbled a snap, and then you threw a dot to your best wide receiver. Like yeah, man.
I mean, for
He
them
is
to
different.
not re-sign, what's his name, Sam Darnold after the year he had. Granted, I know they took. I don't know if they had to move up for JJ, but
They
McConnell
did.
said, "I want this guy." And I remember, like in that pre-draft, there was conversations about JJ being the number one quarterback. And I was like, "Well, that's kind of crazy." But like I said, watch what he did in college and see what he did, on Monday night. I'm like, okay, I see what they saw. Like I said, we have not seen the best of JJ McCarthy yet, so there's still some question marks that we have. But in terms of upside, the kid is crazy, and his confidence is just Jackson Dart ish.
In the pursuit of time, let's keep this boy moving. All right. So serious topic for the night. Today at in Utah, Charlie Kirk was shot in the neck and died. Now, Toph, I know doesn't have anything to say about this. He was not aware of who this person was, but Kyle, you got some stuff you want
Yeah.
to say?
So yeah, basically, I mean, we try our best not to get political on this podcast. I'm not going to do that today, but regardless of where we stand, I do think that this is a very sad death. Um, for somebody to bring a man down in cold blood over disagreements of policies is ridiculous in any light. And this guy was a father of two young kids. He was a
Mm.
loving husband, and so it's just sad to me to see that he passed away. I don't agree with everything he said politically. Um, I am a God fearing Christian man. I'll openly say that, but I disagree with some of his points on abortion and immigration and things like that. But the thing I found respectable about this guy is that he made an open lane for people to come and talk to him about political issues that they were feeling, um, regardless of where he was or what the crowd looked like. He was just he's been doing that for years, and he's been giving people a voice. So, and I mean, regardless of what you say about this guy, I can almost guarantee you what he would tell you right now is that he just wished that the person who shot him would have wanted to have a conversation with him first before deciding to do that. Like, just come and talk to me about our differences over just fucking bringing a gun to my neck. Like, that's never how somebody should go. So, um, yeah, my heart is with his family. My prayers are with his family, and I hope that they're okay, regardless of the shit that I disagree with about what he's talked about.
I've had all day to kind of think about this on what I wanted to say about this tonight. And I want to give you my emotional reaction. I want to give you my principal reaction. I want to give both. Emotional reaction. I did not like Charlie Kirk. I thought he was a piece of shit personally. That's me. I thought that he spent a lot of time sowing division and spreading um, a lot of, I would say, harmful rhetoric about a lot of different groups of people. Charlie Kirk was someone that said that every year there's going to be a certain amount of gun deaths, and that is something that is a sacrifice he's willing to make because he wants to keep the Second Amendment. Today, he became one of those gun deaths. Charlie Kirk said that empathy is a made up new age term that does a lot of damage. That is a direct quote from Charlie Kirk. Um, Charlie Kirk's last words were talking about how gun violence is a big issue with black people and gangs before he was shot by a white man in Utah. So, from a personal perspective, I do not miss him. I am not sad that he is gone. And to quote Malcolm X, chickens coming home to roost never made me sad. So, from a personal perspective, I do not miss him. From a principled perspective, I think that the fact that you have your opinions and the way that you went about things, going around to different college campuses and other places to debate people, give somebody a mic, give them the chance to say what they want to say, go back and forth. That in itself is a rather brave thing to do as compared to a lot of people that sit behind computers and just get their shit off with no accountability. The fact that somebody who's going around having discussions with people, which I think, regardless of how bad I think his rhetoric was and how much damage it did to our country, the fact that you go out and talk to people that you disagree with is the foundation of what makes our country great. And so the fact that you were killed, the fact that he was killed while doing that, while not having a weapon, while not being involved in direct violence himself to be gunned down, I think that that is wrong. I think murder is wrong. I think that all of those situations principally are wrong, and I denounce that. As a person himself, though, he will not be missed by me.
And I think
Um,
that's about all we got to say about that, man. I mean, I ain't gonna convince you of nothing. You ain't gonna convince me of nothing about who he was or anything like that. So that's a
the
good place
fact
to
of
leave it
like,
right there.
yeah, like I said, the fact of being shot though, just while you're talking to people, that is, yeah, is greasy. Uh,
I think just the
complete,
fact of being shot is fucked. But
yeah.
yeah, in
I just
general,
know that in his past there was, like I said, a lack of empathy for a lot of other people who also were
of
killed
course. Sure.
unarmed doing the other stuff. But it two wrongs do not make a right. Complete 180 on this. Kyle, question of the week.
She. All right. If y'all were. Wait, where'd it go? Right here. All right. If y'all were entering for any reality show, what reality show would you choose to enter for and why?
Dang, reality show.
Is
Yep.
this like? I mean, is this what are the
It could be
stipulations of this?
like
Like,
Survivor, Big Brother. It could be a
Like
game
Love Island and that
show.
kind of stuff. Oh,
It could
game
be
show?
Amazing Race. It could be Love Island. Whatever you want.
I haven't watched a lot of reality TV shows. I feel like, obviously, I'm in a very long-term committed relationship. If it wasn't for that, I would say Love Island, bro. Like,
Right.
I
Pull up my
mean,
monocle.
I haven't watched a lot of reality TV.
Flash
so
the
it's not like
camera to
have,
Lexi right
I don't,
now.
I don't have a lot of basis to go on of this. Ironically, Lexi's the big reality TV person. Um, but I would say if I was single, Love Island. I mean, what's not to love? You hanging out in a tropical area. It's a bunch
Sure.
of
I'm
a bunch of
asking
hot
you.
people.
I'm
And
asking you right now. You got Survivor, Amazing Race. Like,
I've
what
never
do you
watched
think would be-
those.
All right.
I've never watched
All
one
right, so
episode of
you're
either one
so
of
you,
those.
Big Brother.
Never watched it. All right, hear me out. Wipeout. Let me go on Wipeout.
Yo,
Let me go on Wipeout.
you would kick some ass at Wipeout, bro.
That's a good one.
Let me go and get bounced.
Yo,
Bro, watching this guy.
Oh,
Watching this guy. I was about to say, watching this guy on those big red balls. Look out.
And on that note,
Hey, hold on. I have actually not. Let me not do Wipeout. Did y'all ever watch Hustle and Flow?
yes.
Okay, that would be my answer. Hustle and Flow. If you haven't seen it before, they brought a bunch of like wannabe rappers on. They actually did launch some successful careers, like D Smoke, for example. And basically, you do these different challenges. You know, you'd write raps. You got a chance to like shoot like a music video. They got like a lot of resources for you to do that. I would say that. I would say let me go out there, see if I can take the freestyling that I'm decent at, turn that into some written stuff, and maybe not embarrass the hell out of myself like I would in Wipeout.
All right.
I'm gonna give you two answers. I was a huge like Jersey Shore person, back in the day. That was like, my show. And I remember like me and the boys, we all thought about what if we just made like the Portage Shore, I'm from here and things like that. When you asked that question, it just reminded me back in the day that we used to really just think about that. I do Jersey Shore. If we're doing like a game show, what's the one with Howie Mandel and like the briefcases? Let's make a deal.
Deal or No Deal.
Man, yeah, Deal or No Deal.
Oh,
Man, I feel like
Toph would kick ass at that, dude.
Yes.
Toph would be the first millionaire, and they'd be like, "Man, you're not supposed to do that," and he'd be like, "Well,
no deal."
Yeah,
keep going. Yeah, that'd be my pick, man.
That's a good one. That's a good one for a game show. Yeah, reality TV for me. Survivor is a fun one for me. The Could Have Been House for any Drewski lovers out there.
Oh my god!
I feel like I could do a better job rapping than everybody that's there.
Oh man!
I could at least put 4 bars together, which beats about half of the people that he recruits. I just got to develop a better character. Yeah, Survivor, that one. Amazing Race. Me and my dad always used to joke that we'd do that, but my dad would probably tear his ACL running across Norwegia or something. But at this point,
hey, you remember that show? You remember that show, Pros versus Joes?
Oh, yo! Set me up.
I'd do that.
That'd be fun as hell. Hey. Anyway, I almost said some plausible shit. I'm gonna take that shit back. Shout out Brian Urlacher.
That was a deep pull right there. Pros versus Joes.
Pros versus Joes is a deep pull. Game show. Give me a Family Feud. I think me and my family could eat some shit up, and Steve Harvey would be entertained with our white asses. Okay. Not literally.
Okay. But that could be a good one. Yo, let's see if we can get on a late entry on Family Feud.
Late entry Family Feud. Let's go.
I also heard that there's like
they didn't do a podcast edition.
Yeah.
I heard that there's like a 3-person Jeopardy.
Oh, you don't want me in Jeopardy.
Oh, like a teen Jeopardy?
Nope. We're cooked if I'm on there.
No, come on, we gotta get you out.
You know more than you think, dog.
Listen, I don't watch no daily news if it ain't sports or YouTube entertainment. That's my news right there.
Have y'all ever seen the cringe version?
Old head for like? Go ahead.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say, have y'all seen the cringeworthy clip that they made where it was all NFL topics and all the contestants knew none of the answers
Bad.
about like
Big
I would have clipped in that.
offsides and like it was like an offsetting penalty for like 1,200 and it's like oh man, that was
Hey, you
that
know
was
what
the segment of Jeopardy I trained my whole life for.
You know what would be crazy? Family Feud, us versus Castanet's group.
Bro,
AMP?
us versus AMP.
Versus
Hey,
AMP.
I'm gonna give us a good chance of winning that.
I
Hey,
think
let's
I
tap
think
in.
we take that
They're not the
shit.
smartest people in the world,
Hey, AMP,
Hey.
AMP, if you're
but
listening,
they know how to make some
we're
money.
challenging
I'll
y'all
give
the
them that.
Family Feud. Put us on.
AMP, RDC, come on.
Hey, I'm
Dude,
gonna post that on
Dennis,
TikTok.
I don't
I'm
give
gonna
a
tag him in it.
Hey,
Let's
if we
tap in
get
with the chat for a
into
second.
Streamer University, we'll be like, hey, Castanet, come on.
Yeah.
AMP, run it.
Set that shit up.
That's a
Let's,
good idea.
Let's tap in with the chat. Thomas, no empathy for his life is crazy work. I have a level of empathy. I feel like
It was the way that he said it. It did come off as just like, dang.
I know
what you meant though. I know what you meant by it.
I don't want to re-bust this boy back open. I feel like I
Yeah,
said
yeah.
exactly what I wanted to say about that entire situation.
I can see where he's coming from though.
Chad, he said, I think you're talking about Hustle and Flow. That show was great. D Smoke, he said freestyle right now. Look, I'm not gonna freestyle right now. I'm not gonna give it to y'all for free. What I'll tell you is this.
I know that's right.
We might have to make that. I know we do a lot of bets on this show. Not the sports bets that we give you, but amongst us. We might have to make that the punishment for one of the bets. Whoever loses got to spit a few bars or something like that. I'm not just gonna bust it out right now for you.
SoundCloud already
because you know we don't quit.
Toph, you on SoundCloud?
You can ask Ken, you could ask Chris. I'm on SoundCloud. I'm not a rapper though, but I am on there.
He said I'm not a rapper. But I'm not a rapper.
I'm on SoundCloud. Follow me.
I'm not, but I am on SoundCloud.
Hey, from way downtown. Toph with the ha 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 ha. Freestyle.
What's the at? What's the username?
I think it's Sweezy Too Easy.
Sweezy Too Easy.
Yeah.
Next episode, next Wednesday, because Sunday's gonna be busy with football. Next Wednesday, we're playing a Sweezy Too Easy track. Be here next Wednesday.
That's the intro to the
here next Wednesday.
Hold on. I mean, I don't care. You could play it. I'm just saying it.
Hey,
if you know
nothing to be embarrassed about.
If you know who Ice JJ Fish is, that is heavily, that was the inspiration behind the tracks. It is heavily Ice JJ Fish inspired.
Yo,
I'm gonna leave it at that.
Back here next Wednesday. Make sure you are back next Wednesday for the show. We are going to play a dope original. We are gonna play Sweezy Too Easy from SoundCloud for y'all.
My God.
We will not forget. Be here next Wednesday. All right. Let's we're already over our time, but let's go ahead. Last topic of the night, all due disrespect. Let's go Toph, Kyle, and then me.
Yeah, we kind of hit on that earlier. All due disrespect to just Bill Belichick. As somebody that's just, a big sports person, I love just hearing like people's stories. A lot of these guys, they may come from the trenches, they're their family's last hope and things like that. And I just hate when people just, get the ego, get in their feelings and just really take away from, what really matters and things like that. I'm not a North Carolina fan, but like I said, I always root for everybody and things like that. Everybody kind of, make it to their dreams. So for you to just, outright ban a whole organization, giving, somebody, less eyes to look at and things like that. So I gotta, all due disrespect, Bill Belichick. Oh, my bad, Bill Belichick.
Okay. Bill Belichick. Hold on, Kyle, before you go. I just got a text message with a good point. Somebody said for Family Feud, you need 5 on your team. So we got 3 of us right here. I would say we take Chad, we take Ant, we take Dante. Whoever
Whoever
can round the team out.
Final callback.
Yep. Yeah, we're gonna.
I think Ant has a spot. Return guest Ant.
That is
He
true.
hits us
Ant
with some
has-
good topics. I think Ant
he's been
deserves a
on-
spot.
That's very true. So then we'll make Chad and Dante fight it out for the last spot. He gonna show up with a concussion and not know any of the answers.
Dante's
Hey,
just gonna be
Chad-
talking about how he gave his kids them ones, bro. He's gonna be like,
Chat in the chat said, "Let's go." Tony, all the
Dang.
disrespect. Superhero movies should be on a 5-year timeout.
I hear him.
All right.
ooh,
Wait a
I
second.
hear him,
Wait,
though.
hold on. Here's the thing about that.
ooh.
If you said that right after Endgame, you'd have a point. We're finally out of the dip. There were some bad days.
I
There was
mean,
four-
other than
I
there was
know.
four
I think
four.
we still need to wait 5 more, bro. I think we
Look,
still just give
Fantastic
it.
Four, the new stuff that they're cooking up, the new Superman. I'm excited to see that. That was the last 5 years that were greasy. We had to see Thor 4. That was terrible. Thor 4 was a 2-pack of
Thor
ass.
4 is
dog.
I mean,
bad.
Thor. A lot of people didn't like Black Panther 2.
thought it was
And there's a
good.
couple other ones. But I think majority
Wakanda
people
forever.
hated it.
Yeah,
Was that
I
racist?
hear what he's saying.
There
though.
may
Yeah.
be other reasons for that, but
If you're just looking at the Marvel side, yeah, I could definitely see it where they say that.
yeah. Kyle, you're all
No,
disrespect.
I'm all about. First off, I'm all about waiting as much time as we can on Marvel movies, man. I am.
Not too long now. Not too long.
Not too long, but like not ET level.
If
you
you're
know,
gonna
I'm
take
not
this
trying to
long to
wait
still come
50
out with some
years
trash,
before we do the remake, but all right, I'll move on, I guess. But I think that was a good point. I'm gonna stand by Tony on it. All due disrespect. Honest to God, I'll do disrespect anybody still on Twitter shouting out Grok. Buddy has been racist like 3 different times and got shut down. And most of the time when people ask him a question at this point, since he's been shut down, he doesn't answer anymore. So why are people still reaching out to this motherfucker? Why are people still asking this guy questions? Just go to Google, man. What is it? The Google AI is good enough. Go to ChatGPT. Like, why are you reaching out to Grok for
Hold
your
on a second.
answers, man? If you're
Pause.
reaching out to Grok,
Pause. I was with you until you said let's not use one AI, let's use another. I thought the whole point was let's look this shit up ourselves.
I mean, if you Google something, AI gives you a better answer than Grok does. People are asking questions to Grok, and he's leaving them on red, bro. He's just like, yeah, there was a big world problem that happened today, and people are like, Grok, tell me what happened, and he's just like, freaking crickets. Like, he's gone. He's out of. I mean, I go and I Google search it, and I will go on not necessarily scholarly websites, but like Wikipedia and shit and look up my answers. But I mean, I'm just talking everyday, day-to-day stuff. I'm not talking about the big hitters. But people are like asking about like Grok, who do I start in my fantasy lineup? And it's like Grok isn't gonna answer, man. Like
he said go to ChatGPT and ask.
yes, go yeah. Trust me, my wife does it, and she goes to ChatGPT all the time for her fantasy lineup.
Shout out ChatGPT.
Next year we gotta do an all AI draft. Each of us get our own AI. One person gets ChatGPT, one gets Grok, one gets, and we just all ask AI, who should I pick right now? Here's who's available, and we'll see which AI drafts the best line.
That would be awesome.
All right. I have 2 all the disrespects. I got a quick, more serious one, and I've got a funny one. My serious one. Did you see? Now this is a few days old at this point, but did you see they got some dude from? It was House Speaker Mike Johnson claimed that Donald Trump was an FBI informant to bring down Jeffrey Epstein. That's the new angle. That's the new angle, dog. We went from the Democrats did it to it's all a hoax to it's not a hoax. The president was actually an FBI informant. Do you think that we are fucking stupid? Y'all just whatever you say, dog. Whatever you say. I just couldn't believe it. I was like, wow,
awesome.
okay, that's a new angle I haven't heard of before. Here's my other one. It is so many NFL fans, dog. Motherfuckers do not know what they want. Did you see all the people all pissed off coming into the season about how there's male cheerleaders?
I know there even was male cheerleaders.
Right, because they don't
What?
take up any time. They don't.
Wait, hold on. What? Are you serious?
They're not on your screen ever, dog. When I was a kid,
That don't
like when
sound
I was
nothing.
in middle school. When I was in middle school, I thought that the Dallas Cowgirls were going to be a bigger part of my viewing experience than they were. That panned out to be about nothing.
They got their own show though.
But here's the thing,
True.
right? So people all pissed off about that because now we got to look at the men cheerleaders, right? But the same fans are also pissed off every time they show Taylor Swift on the screen. Do you want to see men on the screen? You want to see women on the screen? You only want to see sweaty men tackling guys with balls. What do you fans want to see?
They want Lingerie Football League to come back.
Hey, who doesn't?
Out there hit sticking.
You're onto something.
No.
So actually, what Tony just said about
Yeah.
Gronk and then messing that up reminded me. I think anytime that somebody on Twitter wants to ask Gronk a question, they should just tag Gronk instead, because they'll probably get an answer quicker. And it might
not
be
gonna
more
be right.
accurate for how
It's not
stupid,
gonna be
for how
right.
stupid he is.
Bro, the fucking thing about Gronkowski, I'll never forget the roast of Tom Brady. Every person there spent the entire night shitting on Gronk for being a fucking idiot. And then Gronk got up and proved everybody right. He said the stupidest shit you've ever seen before, and then spiked a big glass fucking thing on the ground. Glass every fucking word. Be like, holy shit.
Brother hit batting practice with a freaking Lombardi, bro. Like, he's a fucking idiot.
Do you remember when he
Shout
was
out
on New
Gronkowski.
Year's with Steve Harvey and there was a big Lego Steve Harvey face and he spiked it and Steve Harvey immediately got pissed. He was like, what the hell is wrong with you? He's like, why would you do that?
I don't remember that.
Gronk
I have
is
not
like the
seen that,
fucking...
but that's awesome.
Look it up, dog. Look up Steve Harvey Gronkowski New Year's. Gronk is like the fucking Hulk, dog. Hulk
Yeah,
smash.
he is.
It's about the capability of his brain, dog.
He's like the Mark Ruffalo Hulk, where he like really can't control it. He like,
Yeah.
That's
he's
just a
just
weird
guessing
duo.
when he goes
Steve
crazy.
Harvey and Ron Gronkowski. Like, who signed off
Steve
on
Harvey
that?
Steve
Yeah, they
Harvey was
should
not
never be
happy
in
he
the
was
same
there.
room.
All right, everybody. That's all for late entry. Please do not forget to like, subscribe, leave a comment, check out some of our shorts. We got some funny ones out here. Check out our TikTok, Late Entry Podcast. We've got a lot of our clips, and we're going to have these bets posted up for you guys for this weekend. And do not forget to check in with us on Monday to see the reaction for all of the Sunday games. And most importantly, do not forget to be back here next Wednesday, 10 Eastern, 9 Central. We are going to be playing a Sweezy Too Easy SoundCloud song.
I know exactly what song we're playing.
He's
Late
like, I'm
entry.
gonna
We
handpick
out.
that shit.
Mm-hmm.
Peace.